Oh, boy. All right, hold on. There we go. Hold on. Oh, this is not going to be a long live stream. Still dealing with major tech issues again. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Pat Trading Partners. Mike Arnold here, along with not Bob Iacchino because he's not here. So, how's everyone doing? Let's see. Good afternoon, George. This is not a new bull market. Not a new bull market. Tactical trading higher. Not a new bull market. Hi, Daniel. How are you today? Good afternoon, Patrick. Patrick, third, the bronze medal this afternoon. What is going on, Patrick? Afternoon, Jacob. So, if the Fed does not pivot, the setup will be more like 1929. Kathy Wood. Can we just delete her? Come on. Her stuff is absolutely getting asinine. So, let's see. Good evening, Charles. All right. Dream come true. I had a buy entry right after the open. I'll show you what it was. You don't just see. This is what I hate. I'm going to start just booting people, and I don't care because here's what happens. People go, "Oh, what this?" You don't look. I'm going to tell people, don't buy just against support. Don't trade just against resistance. Wait for a signal. Show you exactly what the signal is. I've gone through it a bunch of times. Okay, gone through it a bunch of times. But you don't just buy because something's oversold. You don't just sell because it's overbought. If you sold because stuff was overbought, look at this. This is majorly overbought. You don't just sell. You don't just do something, you wait for a signal. Okay? Learn that. Not going to put up with crap today. By the way, Monday's a holiday. The stock market is closed. Stocks are closed. Futures open still the same time. I hate this new CME. Completely destroyed the holiday calendar. Completely destroyed it. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know what frigging like millennials in charge of this calendar now, because this is absolutely atrocious to find stuff. Absolutely atrocious. But Sunday afternoon, there'll still be a live stream. Sunday afternoon, there'll be a live stream. Why? Because the futures are open. They're open at the normal time Sunday night. They close early on Monday. They close at noon Central. They reopen at 5 p.m. Stocks are closed. Same thing. Crude's the same hours as the equities and everything else. This is just this new calendar is just atrocious. I don't know what they were thinking. I went around looking for it for a while, like the nice Excel format I used to put up. And I asked other people, they're like, yeah, this is what they have now. And I'm like, this is junk. So, there we go. Let's see. All right, you got your priorities straight. Late because I was prepping a bottle of wine for dinner. What kind of wine is going and what kind of dinner? Good evening, Anissa. So, for a major rug pull, the markets need to pull in more bulls. They need to pull in more retail. Retail's going to get their butt handed to them. Retail is going to get their butt handed to them. I'm going to put it out here first. Why? I've got now from multiple people. My broker / financial advisor says this is the best time to buy for all year. Yeah, we might have a couple minor pullbacks, but we're going to highs. This is the last opportunity you'll have to get in at good prices. There's going to be not much contraction in earnings. Fed's going to pause and then pivot before September. It's absurd. I guarantee the street's going to sell into this, and a bunch of retail's going to be left holding the bag. Today, 9 a.m., the big rah-rah was the huge rah-rah preliminary Michigan inflation expectations. It's a friggin' survey. People judge it off of gas prices, which are still low. People are still remembering $5 or $6 a gallon gas. Inflation expectations coming in at 4%. versus previous of 4.4. And sentiment still popping up. I want to see what it is next month. So that's where we sit. Again, nothing on Monday, nothing we need to review. Market map. Besides, you had some auto stuff down, some rotating out of defensive positions, and I'm not talking about aerospace and defense. I'm talking about defensive positions. It is going into full rah-rah mode. Financial, all the banks just bouncing back. Amazon tearing higher. Heard from multiple people, Amazon is going to be over 200 in a couple months. No. 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 Sectors you can see here, consumer cyclical, communication services, healthcare, all up. I was a little surprised with healthcare today. Consumer defensive actually showed stronger. I have to look into this one-day relative performance because that actually showed stronger than a lot of consumer defensive was. Fed watch still at that 94% for the 25 basis point. Fear and greed solidly in greed. So I got to find out what Patrick's, hold on, I got to find out what Patrick's having for dinner. Then I'll get back to other stuff. Patrick, I need to know what wine and what you're having for dinner. Where are we? Yeah, anybody can do what they like. I'm just kidding. Anybody can do what they like. You could just, why don't you just overbought? Why don't you sell? Okay? You know, it's a bunch of garbage. That's not a reliable trade entry signal, dream come true. Charles is cooking in the kitchen all day on Monday. What a yo-yo market. Bulls, I think we will be leading bulls to a slaughterhouse. So, dogs barking in the background. By the way, here, I've gone over this before. Now, here was a little nice entry. Okay, here was your pre-market breakout. What's this? What have I talked about many times? What's one of the best signals? You have resistance, pre-market, breakout, pull back with the crossing rotation zone, catching it higher, then rotation back up. There's your entry. Or, second possible entry, if you didn't catch this one. These are stuff to put down and start researching. So you got some decent momentum bars in here. Decent momentum. Single bar pause. You actually got a really nice pullback here too. But single bar pause, the breakout, this was the 9 a.m. number, by the way, with the consumer sentiment. And then taking off and then just grinding higher. Grinding higher, what do I tell you to do? Close to European, 10, 10:30 Central, even, closer to European close. Get into that 15-minute rotation zone and watch for pullbacks to that. Nice little pullback and then just grinding higher the rest of the day. Stalling out briefly at 4,000 and then just grinding higher. So, this price action also, from watching stuff intraday from not just today, but since essentially Wednesday, this price action reminds me of a couple times last year. Reminds me of this, the beginning of September, where if it wasn't nailed down, you had to buy it. A little bit in August. And then the other time was, where was it? This. March. Going into the end of March. If it wasn't nailed down, you got to buy it. I still remember this. Going to new highs, going to new highs. If it's not nailed down, just buy it. Buy it, buy it. This is the last chance you have for the year. All new time highs. Heard the same thing back here. But the price action is very similar. Any sign of weakness, you got to buy. Oversold. Again, what I've said, this is trailing. NASDAQ finally on the double Hit the final target. Hit the final target. 11,605. That's over. So, unless we get the next close above the 62.5, I'm in cautious mode with overbought cycles at the top. That's over. The Dow still chugging higher. We got that little nice pullback on the open, and then the reversal after hitting some of the targets on the double bottom. And still keeping an eye on some higher targets, by the way, for this. This one has a valid potential double top. This one has a valid potential double top. The other ones don't. Russell, just complete grinding higher after, remember, close above the 62.5, target the 87.5, got into the top zone. The Russell especially is trading like everything's back to full-blown normal. So it's still just trail, and this is another potential short-term top area. What else do we need? The notes. The notes triggered. Double. Came close, but no stop out. First and right before the close, virtually the second target hit. Still watching for a little more downside price action follow through when the futures open. But that was just a little mini pullback pattern right there. Nothing substantial just yet. Yes, the weekly potential double top is still in play. Dollar index also, see, here's an example. Dollar index, very oversold against major support. Do I just buy it here? No. Could we trigger a buy signal next week? Yes. So, VIX back down to 18. VIXY back down to 18. There is no fear in this market. So, not much to talk about there. Crude continues to march higher, not yet to my 80.37 next target. Watching for a potential topping pattern. Cycles back at the top in overbought. Now, if we triggered a double based off of this, very overbought, and here, this is where I'm very patient and watch for some kind of pullback before an entry to get even better reward to risk. Because let's just hypothetically say this triggered early next week and we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight days up, hitting overbought, and it triggers on like day 6. My advice is to wait for a pullback and then go for it. Gold continuing to march higher, still trailing mode with gold. Still in trailing mode. Next key target is 1948.60. Copper still marching higher. Final target still 432. Japanese 10. There's a Bank of Japan meeting next week, by the way. And this is still holding above 50 basis points. So I'm going to be paying very close attention to that next week. Yen, keep rolling down almost to key support, which would be a lower trailing stop level. Key resistance is now this 130.50. Euro, little pause. Not much to talk about there. Still watching. I'm watching for a dollar bottoming play and a euro topping play. Nothing yet in the pound. Bitcoin off to the races. Bitcoin is just being Like there is no more risk assets. Next target area is, or there's complete risk off mode. 27, 26, there'll be a rug pull in Bitcoin coming up. Also, Tesla with the gap down and then filling the gap. Nothing to talk about there. I had a losing trade today. My pattern triggered and then went against me. I was trading counter trend, so the probabilities were lower. I had a tight stop. I love being wrong and not getting wrecked. Well, that's the point. Trading's not about always being right. You're going to have losers. So what do? You had your pattern triggered and then went against me. So you take your stop and then you're done. Not necessarily done for the day. It depends on your trading plan, but you're done with that trade. Perfect. Data shows big traders and market makers pulling out. Well, today retail was buying. I mean, literally my stuff from talking to retail today was, again, what I said before. This is the last opportunity. What? It's friggin' January 13th. Friday, January 13th. This is the best buying opportunity of the year? Okay. Go for it. I just know that that's not smart money. What do consumers feel good about? Yeah, cheaper gas. Yep. PPI is not going to be a big deal. It's lost its luster at this point since it's distinctly rolled over. That's not going to be a big deal next week. Yeah, the banks weren't good. The banks, they're setting aside more losses for loans. Yeah, they beat. But the guidance was not good in the banks, but it was like, hey, buy banks like no tomorrow. Here we go. Italia. Now, see, I'm not going to pronounce the wine because I'll butcher it and then Bob will kick me out of my own live stream. So what kind of homemade pasta, though? You got to be more specific on the pasta, Patrick. You can't just leave it at homemade pasta. I need specifics. I'm having coho, salmon, and broccoli with some red wine. Not very exciting. Tomorrow night will be sous vide fillets with roasted Brussels sprouts. So there's my menu for the next 2 nights. There could be some shorter term stuff there could be some CTA triggers and everything. But that's why we trade the price action. And again, it doesn't have to be the rug pull just yet. Doesn't have to be just yet. By the way, S&P no close over to 62.5. That was my next key level I was watching for. So still potentially in the rollover zone. We get the close above 40.33. I'm watching for continued follow-through price action, even though we're very overbought. People mistake these kind of things. Again, there's no long-term buys just yet. But then when we roll over again, everybody will say, see, they'll just switch their tune again. If you're aggressive, maybe 39.64 entry with a stop at the lows. For a rollover play next week. Yeah, I'm paying attention to this key area right in here. 39.70 to 39.56 is going to be very key we don't have a great tide. You cannot trade this as a double because of this. Because of CPI Thursday, this. But you can keep an eye on this. So why I'm even watching slightly higher. This spike high, then we closed just around that spike high, and then we retested that area. So this is my early warning sign, 39.70 going into next week. So from trailing stop levels from the longer term, guess where trailing stops could be? I wonder. I wonder. I wonder as I wander. Mike, if you move to the retracement RTY back to the weekly August 2022 high, it was closing above the 62.5 retracement. Go to the next key one I'm watching in the Russell is the, yeah, you can try to trade these little, but go to the major swing. I missed it. Go to the major swing. Go to this one. Don't try to trail down every one. You will get a bunch of them right, but you'll get a key one wrong. The next major pattern is we still have a potential double. Now, if that triggers, it'll get really interesting. If this triggers, it will get really interesting. You're using this one. If you're using this one, I have no problem with that. The next target I'd be utilizing is 1935, though. Don't use the 87.5 yet. Remember, the probabilities are just why I say target the 87.5, because if it generally makes a run, but the probabilities are higher still on that 75% level. Not much, but they're still higher, and in these markets, I would use that 75% level. So let me take off this real quick. Back to reiterate this, if you're using this swing, use 1935, 1936 as your next key level. And then you'd use 1984. Just a little tip there. And yes, can this still run higher? Cycles are not yet done on the weekly. But when I talk about things in the context, it would be, this is essentially from the longs earlier, this is trailing. Yeah, there could be intraday plays, but I wouldn't be aggressively adding from a daily perspective up here. What else? Here's your Amazon to the moon. Amazon still not even to the major breakdown level, and the weekly rotation zone. So that's the next target area higher if it continues. Relative bargain with a PDE at 87 going into still recessionary slowdown. But it's the only buying opportunity of the year. Proud to be a PTP. That's a good idea. Hold on. Proud to be a PTP rescue dog. That's a good idea for a shirt. Hey, Sterling, can you could you jot that down and send me that in an email, please, if you're still here? So, where do we sit? What else do we have? All right, Sterling, I need notes. We could get our system works. Sterling Ruffin shirt. Come on, all right, let's do some merch. Who wants to do some merch this year? I'm taking shirt ideas. And if you even want to design a shirt and I like it, we'll figure something out. I'm not angry at the market. Remember, we just completed a NASDAQ. What I'm saying is people are in full rah-rah mode. Full-blown rah-rah mode. Telling them to be cautious. I'm more aggravated at technology than anything. Market will be the market. I'm a Path Trading Partners rescue retail holder. I mean, at least. Yeah, send along shirt ideas or other. At least here. Carvana finished the double. Carvana finished the double. There we go. You know what's so interesting to me about this? Carvana's shopping reorg banks and everything else and looking to liquidate stuff. All of a sudden, all right, literally they're shopping for structure to take them through reorg and everything. And we get a massive gamma squeeze. That a bunch of stuff, all right, we have. See, I'm not one for conspiracy theories. You have Best Buy, I mean Bed Bath and Beyond, that is lining up banks to put in place debt restructuring to take them through bankruptcy. They're lining it up this week. And look, you're telling me, I guess I wonder who the smart money and who the stupid money was. And we get a massive gamma squeeze in BBBY. AMC is going to need restructuring coming up shortly. They're going to have a cash crunch. Look at this. Huh. Fascinating to me. We get junk gamma squeezes in a week when we have these companies confirmed that they're talking to banks about restructuring financing, bridge gap loans, and everything else. Because you have to line that up if you're going to try to come out of bankruptcy. You line it up. You start lining up before you file. Huh. Just saying. Very interesting. Very interesting. So. Mike is one of the people you talk to, Tom Sosnoff. If not, have you ever met him? No, I have not. No, I have not. All right, let's see if there's anything else. Applewood smoked drumsticks and margaritas. That sounds good. Good. God, Dad. The dead shirt will come to us. No, the market's round. The market is energy of, let's see, shirt ideas from the wild. Sterling's texting me. Thank you, Sterling. So I'm just seeing if there's anything else. And there's my new piece of puzzle for tuning into the live stream today with that use of 75% interim harmonic. Well, there you go. You learned something new. Did Mike give the nod and wink that he's getting short? I told you. I told you level. I told you trail. This can keep going. This can keep going. Although the NASDAQ hit a target. So, what do you do at a target? Can you look at BABA? My puts got crushed today, but they are for January 27th. We'll see. We got the close. If you learn, all right, I'm going to teach you a couple things. If you want to, don't go against something when it closes above the 62.5. Everybody should be able to set up their harmonics on whatever platform you have. If you want to study one thing, because what do I talk about the key target area where it's not 100% guaranteed, nothing is. But whether stuff's going up or down, when you get the close above the 62.5 on a major swing, what do you watch for? What's the next key target? Now, you can use the interim target like I told you, which is a completely valid target to utilize, especially for if you're going with the trend. You don't just sit in short against the target, just like you don't sit in short just because it hit an 87.5. But here, I'm giving you, this will just save your butt more often than not. If something, here's our major swing in BABA. Here was the potential topping area. Let me go through something. I will use this as a teaching moment, then I'm going to call it a day. Because I am frustrated with technology. It's more so frustrated with technology, it's not with the markets. I mean, I just think retail is going to get their... What aggravates me with this is a bunch of retail is going to get their ass handed to them again. That's what I get more aggravated with these financial advice. This is not the last buying opportunity of the year. Okay? That's actually what I get aggravated with. Get aggravated with a lot of the garbage ARK puts out. That sucks the retail in. Let's just go through something. Okay. If you want to make trading easier, I'm going to teach a couple things. So, rallies, where do we watch for potential topping areas? If a bounce is going to reverse a major key areas between the 50 and the 62.5. Bob, I had the 200 in there. It paused. It could not really break down below the rotation zone, and it didn't even, what was this level? So remember, you can pull back. There's a difference between a pullback and a topping pattern. What's this? This was prior resistance becoming support. Again, you don't just randomly buy, you wait for a buy signal. Like this was a buy signal right here. So it topped out, pulled back a little, could not break the prior resistance becoming support area. And actually, I would have just used the 50 below that. But this is a key just price action. Why? Because you're going to come down caught on the 50, which is rising. So a short signal or a potential short trigger could have been waiting for at least. I don't just sell below the 50. I'd wait for some kind of setup, but you had gaps down here. Did it ever close below this area? No. Can we still go up in here and form a topping pattern? Yes. So if you got long any other time in here playing for a rally, fine. Do you just magically exit? No. Do you magically short? No. You wait for a sell signal. We got a little pullback. What then happened here? Close above the 62.5. What do we do? If I was looking to short, or let's say I got short in here, let's just say you got short early. Okay, where I'm shorting against the 200. What happens here? Where do the probabilities shift? They shift to up here. And again, you can use this as a target for going longs, especially for raising stops and or partial profits. Do not ignore the 75. I just stress in this live stream because generally if it hits the 75, it's slightly higher probability that it hits this versus this, but there's not like a 10-point probability difference. So I stress watching for a return to this topping area. Closing above here. Here's the probabilities where they shift to. You also still have a gap up in here. So we have magnets up in here. Guarantees? No, but magnets. Again, would it just be hit the 87.5 and, oh, done, it's got to reverse? No, it can reverse anywhere up here. It can keep going, but this is a key. Again, either take something off, raise a stop. Here's the next key target. Is there a great bearish setup yet? No, there isn't. The first warning sign with me would be a break back below about 107.50. Because even a pullback into this area would just be a pullback in the 4-hour rotation zone and a potential gap fill. But we start breaking down there, it could easily pull back to some of these lower levels. But you still have the daily rotation zone in the way. And you generally get a reaction at the daily rotation zone. Then you get the secondary bounce. And then you might get a double top. You might get another kind of potential sell setup. Or if you're not interested in shorting it, you just get a, hey, if I'm still trailing from a farther down level, I could get an exit signal. But just, if you see something that you're trying to short and it closes on a major swing above the 62.5, my advice is, if I was going to make an error, it'd be error on the side of closing it out. Because it's got a lot, unless it's a structured trade, that returning to this level won't really affect it. But I don't know what trade would be unaffected unless you had a multi-legged option position where, okay, maybe it's some weird, I don't know, skewed fly. So, and also the reverse is true. Once this thing starts going back down, and I'm not saying the top's in yet, so these levels will probably change next week. But let's say you're trading this to the long side. Let me take off these old harmonics. So at this point, where would the really key areas tip? 62.5. Could there get other shorts in there? Before that, yes. Would there be warning signs even below the 200? Yes. So there could be short setups, but you're just, if you're short in here, it would be trading in here. Now there might be a setup here, but then the real thing. So let's say you're going long and you're trying to hold BABA for a huge BABA retracement. Well, I'm talking a huge BABA retracement. Look, I think BABA's going back to 300. So you have a wide stop. Well, guess what? If BABA were to close back below 80.50, I wouldn't be shooting for 300. And yes, you can easily keep tighter stops and everything else. However, this will give you a really solid rule of thumb. If you're trading it in the shorter swings, are you going to want to stop below 62.5? No. You're going to want a lot tighter stop. I showed you using that 4-hour potentially. Or you can even keep it wider with the daily rotation zone. Why? We get a close below this daily rotation zone. We have gaps left behind, and you'll easily probably return to the 200. And this will keep rising. So, takeaway. Learn to use the 62.5. Gonna save your butt. From longs also. What I love is if you're trading it from the long side, you get nice pullbacks. It gives you a decent stop area. Because you can try to do something and lean against the 62.5 as a stop level on a closing basis, preferably a daily closing basis. because the probabilities would shift. Does that make sense? I don't know where that comment came from. The stupid is still DJing, but it is. I want a spoculator shirt. You remember the spoculator, huh? I should do a video with the spoculator on it again. So, where do we sit? Hey, would it be really fun to send there? We'll do it. We could do a rescue shirt, and it will, you know what? All profits would go to donated straight to rescue organizations. I would make that commitment. I'll even show sales, show what the cost of the shirt was, and show everything will be transparent. Number of sales, profit, and I'll show the check written out to the rescue. We send lots of money to rescue organizations. Lots of money. So I have no problem with making a rescue dog path trading shirt and taking all the funds, any profit it's made, so profit naturally covers the costs, and donating the full amount if anybody wants to buy those shirts. I think that's a good idea for this coming year. That way we get some path trading swag. Is it still called swag? And we donate it and help rescue organizations, no-kill shelters. We send a lot of money to Best Friends Animal Sanctuary that's trying to get rid of all kill shelters in this country by 2025, I think it is. They got a nice check over the holiday season. But I don't mind if people would like that idea. I'd get on board with that. Completely. So, you are welcome, MK. I hope everybody, if you want to make investing, again, it's not foolproof, but the probabilities tip in such, and Sterling studied a lot. Sterling does not get paid by Path Trading Partners. Sterling's done a lot of, he's learned stuff that I've taught. He's done a lot of research in the harmonics. Nothing's perfect. Never. You can't be under illusion that anybody who tells you that something's 90 or 100% is blowing smoke up you know where. But you have very strong probabilities with that 62.5 level. It's why I stress it so much. And Sterling has done research into it. A lot of junk has re-entered a weekly rotation zone after today's close. Yep. It's entering. Can it still go theoretically higher? I got to bump up that level just a bit, by the way. Yeah, now see if you're using, even if you were saying, I'm super bullish on Planter peanuts. I'm super bullish on Planter. Look, even on a route, where's the weekly rotation zone using a significant swing principle? We have the 50 to 62.5. We have the weekly rotation zone. So if this continues to rally up here, it could be a really nice short setup for a next potential rollover for Palantir peanuts. Now, there could be a topping signal against the other end of the rotation zone somewhere up here. You take off a couple of these other levels. But Where do you think the stop level would be on a closing basis? On a closing basis above 788? Done? Hey, if a great, let's say there was a short setup up here, stop of 788. Oh, didn't work. DJ Stupid's still in charge. I got to stop out. That's, and you do the thing on pullbacks. That's why one of my absolute favorite patterns is when we get a breakout from a bottoming pattern, a major bottoming pattern. You get a breakout. You get the pullback between the 50 and the 62.5. And we have something like also you get the first cross the weekly rotation zone. And then you get that pullback. That can be a buying opportunity where you can put a tight stop on there. Holds above that 62.5 on that weekly basis. Buying opportunity. And you can be riding that for a long time. Those, once we put in market bottoms, it's one of my favorite reversal signals. All right. Time frame wise, is it months out or weeks before the next fall comes? I think it's a huge red flag. Thank you for being here, Nick. The bank loss provisions are a huge red flag. Consumers going to be tapping out. My next key area I'm watching for. The next key area I'm watching for is, again, sometime during earnings season, but I'm really going to be focused. When we might get a little dip cycle. We have stuff a little pinned to the top. Remember, this has to do some pretty significant technical damage before we get into a full-blown breakdown trade. Could we get a pullback with cycles at the top? Pullback, what I will be watching for is when we get daily cycles at the top and we get weekly cycles to the top again and them rolling over in conjunction. That's when I will get really starting to focus for that potential rug pull. Short term, I'm going to be watching more for a pausing / pullback, but anything that's still, if we're just using the stuff I was teaching, let me pull off a couple of these levels just to clean up the chart. If you're just using the stuff that we were reviewing, look, first warning sign is you break down below 3,900. Now, this level will go up if we still go, but I can't get all right, let's start really aggressively going for shorts to tackle a retest this low region. At this point, it's 38.77. We might get other major topping patterns before that. We just don't have them yet. So right now, minorly, we start closing back below 3,900 area. That's more minor. I should say more intermediate bearish. We get closed below 38.77. More severely aggressively bearish. Could things shift if we pull back and then pull back next week at some point, come back up, rotate back up, make a double top pattern somewhere in here? Yeah, we'd have another more aggressive entry signal if it were to trigger. That's why I always stress you'll get, most times, you'll get a primary reaction. And then you get the secondary reaction, and gauging the secondary reaction will tell you a lot about the next potential reversal play. So thank you for being here, Nick Landon. Thank you. Hey, David. Greetings from Arizona. Wish I was back in Arizona. What part of Arizona are you and David? All right, that made sense. So there, you don't have to get overly Pfizer updated COVID booster link for potential stoke. You know what's gonna this whole stuff once the real stuff comes out on a bunch of this vax stuff, it's gonna be fascinating. It's gonna be fascinating. Yeah, I saw your riddle. Mike the Numbers. That's his mafia name. Mike the Numbers. If anyone wants to quickly test out harmonics, just spend some time this weekend doing the swing retracements and look at what happens between the 50 and 62.5 on a number of stocks, futures, or cryptos. It's stochastic RSI. So it's not the standards. It's I'll call them up. This is actually a custom indicator down here. I'll call up the settings and I'll release them. All right, you got it there, Sterling. K3, D3, RSI 8, stochastic length 5, RSI close. There you go. There you go. Sterling did them. All right, hope people learned something today on this Friday afternoon. Remember, I will still be back on Sunday afternoon because the futures open at 5. Futures, and they close still. They trade all overnight for Europe, and they close at noon on Monday, so we get a longer closing period, but there's still futures trading. And there will still be active futures trading. This is a US only holiday. So that's why I will be back on Sunday. And I really appreciate everybody who tunes into this channel, especially late at night, like Anissa from overseas. Enjoy the weekend. Yes. Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King Day on Monday. So, with that, have a peaceful weekend, and I will be back here to say hello to everybody on Sunday, and we will see what we're going to structure for next week. Bye for now.